Good morning. I have something that I want to talk to you guys about. No, it's nothing crazy, so sit down. Sit down. You're late. No, I'm just kidding. But you're late. See what time this is posted? You're late for learning. SMH! So, somebody left me the suggestion to start a seed series. What is that, Sarah? What is the seed series? Okay. In my video I did a couple videos ago, I talked about the magic of a seed. Basically how everything you admit, whether that be a thought, an emotion, what you say, what you do, anything like that, it emits everything. It emits energy out into the universe, and basically whatever you reap, you sow, whatever you plant, you grow. And yeah, it was just along the lines of that. And I would really suggest watching it if you would like. I do think that it kind of really ties into basically everything I'm talking about today. So I think that if you watch that, this video might be a lot easier to understand. But even if you don't, and this is like the first video you've seen, I think this is one of the easier concepts and topics that I'm going to ever talk about. My notes are shorter, so I'm hoping that this video will be shorter. But this video is still following this little book. A lot of people said that they had a hard time trying to find it. I mean, I don't doubt it. I've never seen this book in my life, but I'm gonna look around and see if I can find a link, and I'll leave it for you guys. But if not, I think this seed series is amazing because if you can't get your hands on the book, I am literally reading the book and then speaking my own thoughts about it. Not really literally reading it, but I read a lot of quotes. So anyway, the magic of thinking. Let's begin. Of course, I always have to start out with a quote. What a man thinketh, that is he. This is the eternal mystery. Man becomes what he thinks. Now, I may pronounce this completely wrong, but that was said by Upanishads on page 40. Followed by another amazing quote by a man named Max. Mind is the matrix of all matter. Famous teachings from forever have basically always said that, not always said that, but a lot of teachings theorize that everything here is a result of mind. Humans' minds. Everything that we see here, like the container, the lights, the house, everything, the fences, it's a result of man's mind. So as a result of this, to kind of be a part of this universe, participation is freaking key, okay? You gotta participate to kind of, it's not even like, oh, I gotta participate to make a difference, to make a stance, to prove that I'm the best. It's not about that. Participating is not feeding your ego when you go to work or when you post certain things on social media, alright? Participation and your presence is literally the activity that creates everything here, alright? It's the activity of the mind that creates circumstances. I'm going to read that again. Activity of the mind creates circumstances. I remember in my last video, and this was something that you kind of have to, it's not even like you have to take with a grain of salt, it's just that everybody has different lives, you guys. Everybody, and I get it, like I really do. There's so many people that, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, but there's so many people that will then comment and be like, oh really, so did my sister get, asked to have everything that happened to her? Do you think she asked to be beaten? Do you think she asked this? Do you think she just thought about it to the point that she made it happen? That's not what I'm talking about, you guys. And it's really hard for me to kind of explain what I'm talking about if you have that type of mindset of victimhood. And then again, that word will even spark some people's trigger sense, and please just have an open mind and just listen. There's a lot of things that I didn't want to have happen either that happened to me. So I promise I get it. Some of this stuff is hard to hear. It is. I don't agree with it sometimes too, but we need to hear it. Sometimes the things that you don't want to hear, you really do need to hear. So, yes, in the last video, Magic of a Seed, we talked about circumstances you are never a victim of. You are never a victim of your own circumstances. And that's a 50-50 thing, that you really have to kind of understand what that means before you start getting mad at that statement. You know what I mean? I'm going off on a tangent. Okay, Humans' experience is in one's consciousness. Humans' experience is in one's consciousness. My experience is totally different than yours. We don't even have the same consciousness, right? So my neighbor has a totally different experience and outlook and perception of life than I do. Mine strictly comes from my consciousness, my little mobile of life, and it's different than everybody else. So therefore, my inner world kind of basically creates my outer world. Your inner world is a result of your outer world. When you look at somebody's outer world, their life, their way of living, the things that they have and possess and care about and concentrate on, their priorities, it kind of shows what's going on in their head, or like the inner life that they have, which makes complete sense. And that's a really important thing, you guys. There's a huge, huge, huge connection between your inner world, your consciousness, and the world outside. They're not two different, totally different things, okay? Like, without this body, you couldn't experience the outside. So the inner perception, your body is connected to this world, basically, you know? Like, this little spacesuit, this shit stays here. Not really like it dies now, but like, when you kind of think about it, it stays here. Your body stays here, and you leave, you peace, you go do whatever you want. Theoretically, I don't know what happens when we die. Don't bite my back. So, basically, the nature of your thoughts determines the experiences you draw to you. And again, some people will say, no, Sarah, that's not true. My sister wasn't thinking that, so how did she draw that circumstance to her? You just have to literally break down almost every single situation and realize that it really does come from your thoughts. And I know some people don't understand that, and I really wish that I could just come out and talk about why I know this is true, but literally no one would believe me. No one would believe me. So I just feel like if I kind of, talk about it in a different way and explain it more, maybe somebody will get it. But before people freak out, just listen to this. Our inner world of thought and attitude conditions our perception of life and events. Okay, so these two sentences are kind of different things. The nature of thought determines the experiences you draw to you. So that's going to tell you, okay, well, the seeds that you plant are going to determine the experiences and the fruit that grows from it. We kind of already learned that in the last video, right? But this next sentence, our inner world of thought and attitude conditions our perception of life and events. If you have the same attitude and the same outlook, that is going to condition you into thinking one way and being so closed-minded your whole entire life. That's why it's okay to branch out into different beliefs and different thoughts and theories and philosophies. Just so many different things. It's okay, because if you stay in one set of mind and you condition yourself to believe that's the only way to think, the only way I can think is that everything everybody says out there is so personal and directed towards me that I get so butthurt over everything anybody says. If that's how you think all the time, I just spit, and you condition yourself into believing that, that's just your life. You've literally conditioned your inner consciousness to believe that everybody is out to get you, you're the victim, and you fall into being a victim of your circumstances. And we've talked about this. That's not how it is. Okay. Here's a little example. You know how I use the strawberries and the other one? They used an amazing example in the book, and so I'm going to use an example too. Think about it this way. There's 4 friends going on a hike, all right? They're in the mountains, or they could be in a rainforest, they could be in the desert, they could be anywhere you want, the most amazing place on earth, right? There's 4 friends, okay. So the first guy, he just got into a really, really bad fight with his girlfriend. Basically on the verge of breaking up. She's packing his stuff at home. He got dragged on to go along with this hike. He planned the hike 2 weeks ago before he even knew the fight was going to happen, and he kind of just found himself stuck in the circumstance he was in, right? His attitude is so god dang sour. He doesn't see anything. He sees flowers blooming and he steps on them. He sees a little fawn running in and he pretends to shoot it in his head. He's just so pissed off because of his girlfriend that his experience of this hike is so bitter, he would probably rather be dead. That's his experience. That's his perception of the hike. It is so disgusting and just gross, alright? Second hiker is a girl, okay? She's a little bit of a girly girl all of her whole life. She's always like, oh, I'm all fake nails. I have to have my hair nice. I have to have this, The only thing she can complain about is all of the bugs, the smell of the bug spray she has on, how much she's starting to sweat, the fact that her sweat is causing dirt to stick to her skin and she can't touch her skin, the fact that the humidity in the rainforest is making her hair go absolutely crazy. The only thing she can do is nitpick all of the little things that naturally come with nature and talk about how disgusting it is, how she'd rather be at home painting her fingernails, she'd rather be, at home making a little hair tutorial. She just does not want to be in the woods. It's disgusting, it's sticky, it's dark, there's bugs, ew, right? Okay, so the third person, he's like an entrepreneur, right? He's like what I used to be. He goes door to door and he loves to sell things. He loves to just think and look out into the universe, and just everything he perceives, he thinks about how he can transform it, how he can spin it into making money, how he can take something old and turn it into something new, how he can start a new business based off of this, right? So he's looking around and he's like, damn, all of these trees would be really, really nice if I chopped them down and made them into a cabin. I could start my own mountain cabin recreational park. Like, yes. And then he says, oh my god, and I can hire some hunters. They can hunt some of these animals. We can display them in a museum. I'm not really killing animals for any bad thing other than educational purposes. This is perfect. So he has a smile on his face, but it's not necessarily a malicious smile. He's just conditioned himself to see money everywhere. So when he goes out into the forest, he sees money. He doesn't see nature. He connects with it on a different level. Then there's this fourth guy, right? He is in awe. He doesn't want to walk off of the path because he's scared to kill the small little plants. He watches the butterflies go from flower to flower. He watches the birds fly. If they're in the rainforest, he watches the monkeys swing, and he is so amazed that it almost brings tears to his eyes. He is having the most amazing life, or walk of his life, right? He's on cloud 9. He can't even hear everybody else complaining, and even his other friend who's just talking about, hey, yo, I can make a profit out of here. Like, let's come back next week and I can bring my sketchbook and I can really talk about what I want to do here. He doesn't even really hear that. He doesn't even have his music in. He doesn't have his phone out. He's not searching for service. He's not checking to see if his girlfriend's texted him back. He's not complaining about the mosquito that just stung him on the forehead. He is one with nature, and he can see the vibrations and just the beautiful colors and the oneness he's in. He's a part of the oneness. He hasn't sectioned himself out of nature and out of the universe as his own being stuck in his head, where the only thing that really matters is the situations that are happening at home, happening at school, happening between his relationships. He's not one with himself. He's not one with nature. You know what I mean? He's just absorbed in all of the beauty, and he admires it. He thanks nature for giving him the presence of freedom. You know what I mean? Just being free in the forest or the rainforest. This little example literally shows that the experience each hiker has is from their inner consciousness. One guy his consciousness is just digging at him like, your girl's your girl, like, F her, F this, I'm gonna go out tonight, I'm gonna party, I'm gonna drink. His consciousness is so bombarded with negative activity that his experience of his hike, he'll never remember it. He'll forget about it, he'll throw it away, he didn't take a picture, he didn't even get a souvenir of a nice rock or a piece of petrified wood. He didn't get any of that. He's like, screw this place. I need to go home and either talk this girl into understanding that she needs to get on a leash, or I gotta go find myself a new shawty. Then the other girl, she's gonna remember this because it was the worst experience of her life. The only thing that little voice in her consciousness and inner voice was saying was how miserable she was. It just wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. And then the third guy, he's not miserable, but he just wants to tear down nature and kill animals for a profit. 99% of the way mankind think. They don't act like they're mean. They can justify their thoughts and their wants, and it doesn't sound mean, right? It makes you sound like you need to be more open-minded. But all in all, he's not admiring and taking in the full beauty. He's not in the now. He's not just experiencing the hike for what it's worth. Self-knowledge begins when you become aware of the thoughts, when you take hold of inner thoughts and things like this. I always say that all of the time. Awareness is key. You need to be aware of the thoughts and ideas that pass through your mind and ask yourself why. Remember in my last video I said that some people feel like they don't have control over their thoughts. You've conditioned yourself to believe that. You have total control over your thoughts. You have just been in the habit of letting your thoughts run loose. It's like you have a dog, you can control him, you just haven't. So he's used to just running around in circles, he's used to just spazzing off of the walls. It's because he's been conditioned. It's not even like it's conditioned. He's just being himself, right? So a lot of times you're like, well, I'm just being myself, and my mind goes crazy. My world hates me. My consciousness wants me to die. You're victimizing yourself. Just be aware. One of the things that I used to do when I was young, like still in high school, when I was in a really, really, really dark mindset, I would literally journal. Even if it was me journaling the things that the voices or let's not sound like I'm crazy. What my head was telling me, the voice in my head was telling me, I would write it down. Then you would become aware of literally what your voice in your head is actually telling you. What you conditioned that voice to be, the type of attitude your own consciousness has. And that's what's kind of interesting, you guys. It's like you're two different people. You're the outside and you're the inside. The inside Sarah, there's some people who, the inside Sarah, the inside them is so disgusting, bitter, and black, but on the outside, they are full of color, they radiate, they just act like they're so this, that, and the other, they act like they're so confident, but they're really, really not. And then there's those other people who really are confident on the inside, but they don't know how to show it on the outside. So awareness is key. You just have to gain control, and when you become aware of the thoughts that you're thinking, that's how you can condition yourself into thinking differently, thinking positively. Focus on the positive ones and the negative thoughts that come into your head. Everything comes into your head for a reason. There's so many times, and I didn't used to think this, but I'm really starting to think it now. There's just no such thing as a coincidence. There's no mistakes. There's no accidents. There's no such thing as that here. We've just conditioned ourselves into thinking that. Like I told you, we've started to justify our actions. Our thoughts and our feelings, they can either be building blocks to get us into a better place, or they can literally be stairs down into the cellar, leading you into a dark hole that you're going to be so stuck from, and then somebody's going to pull the stairs up, and you're going to be stuck down there. Then become a victimizer of your circumstances, but you've put yourself there. You've conditioned your mind into thinking that the way your mind feels, it attracts you to even the places you go. If you always want to go out and you always have friends, you always want to go out with your friends and always have parties, your inner voice is going to lead you to the party, It's going to take you where you want to go. You get what I mean? You start changing the way you think. You find yourself in different places. When you take hold of the inner thoughts, which are literally little seeds, so this is why I said that last video might be important to watch. When you take hold of these little seeds that are inside of your head, these thoughts, these emotions, the things that come and go into your head, you can become selective of your seeds. And that's not being selfish. It's not choosing what you want from what you don't want. It's being selective with the seeds that you give out. Because you have to be careful, because you can either plant strawberries or you can plant poison ivies, right? If you plant something that blocks out the sun, you're never going to see anything. The light's not going to get to you. The truth isn't going to get to you. And then you wonder why. You wonder why. So sometimes what happens is that when people are like, okay, Sarah, I get it. I want to start changing my way of thinking. I want to change my life. I'm not happy. I'm depressed. I'm sad. And you're telling me that it's basically I've become what my consciousness has been conditioned to be. Yet I still can't gain control of my thoughts, Sarah. It doesn't happen that way. Life is still so mean to me. That guy from 3 years ago, he broke my heart and did something to me that I'll never freaking forget, Sarah. How can you tell me that I can just move past this stuff? I just watched my brother die. How can I move past this stuff? Sad people, they get into this type of stuff, but they continue to hold grudges against life for the hardships that it's caused. You can't move forward if you're still holding a grudge. You can be the most forgiving person to yourself, but there's still that one bit of something that you're holding on to and you just can't let go, and it's going to poison you. That grudge right there is a dark seed of its own. You cannot hold the universe accountable for the bad things that have happened to you and never forgive it. You know what I mean? You can't do that. I've had to learn that the hard way. You know, I see all of these people sometimes that talk about this stuff, but I'm like, have you ever really been through something that's hard? That makes you question whether you really can become happy or you really can motivate yourself and change the consciousness you've conditioned? I wonder that all the time. Like, do these people really know what it's like to be depressed and sick and hurt? To have those grudges that you just can't let go? Those grudges that are the actual grudges that make it to where you almost don't even believe in a higher power or a God? How can you tell me to just forget about that? You have to understand, you guys. You have to understand. You have to start changing your attitude about yourself, or nothing will come of it. Absolutely nothing. Your life won't change, you guys. It just won't. Your life won't change if you don't try. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. The opinion of myself changed when I saw how much other people appreciated me trying to share what I'm learning throughout this life. I literally used to think to myself, and sometimes, you know, it still does. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm literally not going to sit here and lie. Sometimes I wonder, like, does anybody really give a fuck about your videos, dude? And I know some people are like, really, Sarah? I'm still getting out of the conditioned consciousness I've had for 21 years. You know what I mean? Like, we're all growing from somewhere. But I used to think that. My perception changed when I started realizing that people appreciate it. Even if it's just one or two. People appreciated it when I showed what I was learning. And as a result of that, I have become so much more interested in learning and sharing and expanding my own consciousness. Bettering my own consciousness so I can teach you guys, I can show you guys, I can just talk to you guys. I'm not a teacher, I don't know all the answers, but hell, we can just talk. If I just sat and I, pitied myself and I considered myself a victim of my dad's death, of my mom's death, of everything that has happened, I wouldn't have this joy in me that still is driving me to learn, to teach, to want to help people. Your thought literally shapes the experience of your life. If I didn't have this thought in my head that I wanted to get up, I wanted to teach people, I want to go out and buy books, I want to explore this universe, I want to find the answers, I want to know why we're here, I want to know why people's mindsets are like this. Those thoughts are shaping my life right now. I'm not kidding you guys, your thoughts are so damn important. And I still feel like sometimes even after all of this, people will still just say a thought is a thought. I didn't ask that thought to come into my head, so it doesn't matter, Sarah. I'm not going to focus on it. It's the awareness is key. You're aware of the fact that thoughts go in and out without your control. You can be aware of that. Awareness is key. Now become aware of the fact that you can control the thoughts that come in. It's just been a conditioned thing. So you guys, so many people adopt abused animals. Those animals are so scared until they get used to the love and the support. Some animals don't even want to be petted. You've seen those videos of the poor dogs. They don't get any sort of relief by being petted. They've been conditioned into their head to think that being pet is a bad thing. Human interaction and human touch is a bad thing. Any human is a bad thing. They've just been conditioned to think that way. You can condition their mind to know that you love, to teach them that you love them, to teach them that that's not how this world works, little guy. Love is how this world works. You can condition the dog. Baby, you can condition yourself. I promise you. The eventual result of right thinking is the true birth of wisdom within us. And that is from Goddess Lakshmi. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but again, the eventual result of right thinking is the birth of wisdom. Your thinking is a point of origin for from which things can come into your life. It's like a little portal. It's a wormhole. I'm not kidding you guys. This universe is weird. Your mind is literally a portal to get things and situations to come into your life. So many people will still disagree with me, but I promise, once you become aware of it and start living it, it'll happen to you personally. You won't have to read books to understand it. So many people think you just have to read books to gain knowledge or go through hard things. I've already told you this. You don't have to go through hard things sometimes to understand stuff. Your point of origin literally If I think to myself, I want, and I don't put any work into it, it's not gonna happen. So you can't think too deep about this, all right? And another thing is, you can't control the outside world. So many times I've thought about this. I can't control my outside world. I can't control what happens to other people. I can't control the choices of other people. I can't even control the life of other people. I can't choose when people live or when people die. I can't do that. I can't control that. I've understood that. I've gained awareness that I can't. I literally can't. Oh my god, it's so hot in here. I can't control the outside world, but I can control this one. This one that's inside that actually matters. And I'm not saying the outside world doesn't matter, but when you realize how much this one matters, you realize that this is the result of this. So when this is okay, that will be okay. This outside world will be okay. When you're stable and happy here, everything will be happy out there. Again, I've told you guys this in another video. So many people go out there to look for happiness. They go to other people, they go out there. They change their experiences out there to try to find happiness and fix in here. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes you gotta stay in for the night and just sit in front of a mirror or sit in a dark space and just think to yourself, what is my purpose? What do I want to do? And then how am I gonna do it? Goes back to the seed video. You want to plant the seed, you gotta be aware of the seed you're gonna plant and how to water it. You can't just plant the seed. If it stays in the dirt and you don't water it, nothing's never gonna happen. You gotta actually work towards getting that seed to sprout and grow if you want something to happen. Nothing just comes and falls from the sky. Alright? All you have to do is just think wisely and lovingly, okay? On page 45, when you have learned to control your thinking, you will start to find that everything else starts to fall into place. That was on page 45. And then I do have a little thing that says to read something in here. So, I already said, when you have learned to control your thinking, you will find that everything else starts to fall into place. This next thing is, I think, really important. So, mind is the universal womb that gives birth to all material forms. Thus, you cannot escape the consequences of your thoughts and feelings. There is an unbreakable connection, an invisible link between your inner world and your outer world. Ultimately, your environment is an image or reflection of your mental activity. All of us live in circumstances we have created for ourselves. Now, I do have another thing that gives me a little asterisk to say. No, this does not refer to the little boy who was born into an abusive household. You know, it's like, you could get into it. You could really get into it. No, I didn't create the circumstance that my mom died, but she did. The point is that your mind is the lens which you focus the remarkable power of your intentions and your dreams. It doesn't have to... We're all born into a situation, right? All of us are. It's what we then do from that situation that matters, okay? Again, we can't control the outside world. We can't control sometimes what we were put into. But we can control how we handle it, how we react, how we move forward, how we grow from that circumstance, condition ourselves into knowing there's something better out there for us, that our purpose isn't just stuck in that disgusting time. I've had to learn the hard way too. I promise. Some of this is still hard for me to understand. I don't even agree with some of the stuff that I read. So I don't want you guys to think that. I get so many interesting comments that make it, I don't know, I can tell people don't really understand what I'm trying to get at. I don't know. The stronger your focus is on something, the more rapidly you might achieve it. Okay? Achieve. You know how you achieve an A? You don't just get an A. You gotta work hard, you gotta study, you gotta take the test. The teacher's not just gonna give you an A, okay? The universe isn't just gonna give you what you want. If you focus on something and you work hard and every sweat and tear that you produce goes into that, you'll achieve it sooner than the person who's, the sun. It's time to go, the sun's out. The person who seeks to achieve it is gonna get it faster than that person who's just sitting on their ass expecting stuff to get handed to them. One last quote, and then I'm going to end. Each individual shapes his life by his thoughts, just as a sculptor shapes the clay into the image he holds in his mind. All you guys, here, all we have to do, we have to write down our intentions. read them aloud, and then understand the steps it's going to take to get to them. And the longer you hold that intention in your head, the stronger the universe is going to work. It's going to see what you're doing, and it's going to help you. The one thing we all have control over is our mental attitude. So once we realize the link, like I've told you guys, once we realize the link between this world and the outside world, no one becomes a victim of circumstances. Literally. I've learned that for myself. So I think that's one of the keys to this, is that to learn how it applies to you personally, not to be like, oh, well, that person out there, he is victimizing himself. You don't know what's going on in their head, you know? All that is important is that you realize that you yourself are not a victim of the circumstances you find yourself in your life. If you have a negative mindset, it's not because you can't control your thoughts. It's just because you've conditioned your consciousness into thinking one way for the longest time. And now you think, remember in my last video how I said these people try for a day or two and then get surprised when their life goes back to the same hellhole they were in? Just because you were so conditioned to being used to that type of life that it's really hard to see any type of life that's outside of that way of thinking. Just don't get caught up in this materialistic world. Of course, that our outside world and all the things we own links back to our mental headspace. But it's very important, you guys. The power of thinking is very important. One last thing. Your circumstances tomorrow will be a reflection of your thoughts today. Your circumstances tomorrow will be a reflection of your thoughts today. So, what happens tomorrow will be a reflection of what I'm thinking today. What I was thinking yesterday was a result of today, right? Yesterday I was thinking to myself, I want to take notes. I want to get my video out. I want to have this up. That was a result of my day today. My thinking yesterday made my day today, and my thinking today will make my day tomorrow. It's a simple equation, you guys, and I feel like no one talks about it a lot. Like, why isn't this stuff talked about in school? It's freaking amazing to me. The power of thought is everything, you guys. Sorry, the sun. You can't even see me. It's just as powerful as the seeds you plant. The thoughts basically plant the seeds, you guys. So it ties hand in hand. It really does. So I am done with this one. I want to thank you guys. I can't look up at the screen because the sun is right there. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this one and took a couple things from it. Like I said, I feel like it was more of a kind of common sense. Not really even common sense, but it was like, we all know how we think. We all know, what will result in bad thinking. But I feel like nobody really gets into it deep enough. So I just hope what I shared will kind of help. And I hope you guys look forward to the next seed video. That one will be on the magic of feeling and desire. So we've already done the magic of the seed, the magic of thinking, and now we're going to do the magic of desire. So I thank you guys so much for watching this. And I hope you have an amazing weekend. And stay safe. Okay? Be wise and loving.